So fins up. I'm a Dolphins fan. You love the Dolphins. If you could encapsulate what the general feel is for the Dolphins, it could be last year, it could be the offseason, it could be going into next year. What would be a word, a sentence, maybe even a syllable? What comes to mind?
Confusion. Confusion is the word right now that comes to mind. I know we're going to talk in depth about it, but there's a lot of things that are contradictory right now and confusing. And we're trying to figure it out. Everything that happens within the team kind of gives us a hint, but it just gets more and more confusing.
Absolutely. I know the word for me that comes to mind is mid.
Yeah, just stuck.
Yeah, exactly. But before we get into things, you want to go ahead, shout out your channel, shout out everything.
Yeah, I'm TD, Tony Dow. I'm from TD Fans Talk, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans, representing Roundtable Sports as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You can find me on YouTube, TD Fans Talk. I play around on Twitter, TikTok. I'm under Tony Dow, so come check me out. TikTok, all things NFL now, and YouTube, Miami Dolphins. Let's get it.
Yep. So the Dolphins last year end up going 8-9. They finished second in the AFC East. And man, Tua and the injury stuff was a big problem early on. Is he going to retire? And I mean, he ends up coming back, and I think we play reasonably well down the later part of the year. All for naught, we missed the playoffs and whatnot. But like, what went right? What went wrong for us last year?
You said what went right. It's very hard to find what went right on a team. It's like, if I was to point out what went right, I'll just point at two players, Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey. Not Jalen Ramsey. Jonnu Smith and Zach Zeeler. That's all that went right. Two individual players had good seasons. Jonnu had his best season as a pro, and Zeeler just proved that he's one of the better tackles in the NFL. Outside of that, I don't have any rights. But what went wrong, we don't have 8 hours to discuss it. All right. But, we already were dealing with the injuries. Bradley Chubb never came back. Jalen Phillips hurt again. You talk about Tua's inconsistency to stay on the field. He was out 2 separate occasions. The first one where he missed 4 weeks, and then the second one is more alarming to me. The first one was worse, but the second one was more alarming because they named it a hip injury, which we all know about his hip. Yep. But it was a hip injury that they couldn't tell you what caused it nor what was wrong with it. They said it was just one of those weird injuries where you got to wait on the body to respond, to recover. Don't give me that. That just means that sounds like one of those injuries that could just pop up anytime, because that hip is going to have long-term damage. I'm not a doctor. I don't know, but that scares me to know that, oh, my hip is acting up. I'm going to sit out practice. Oh, now I can't play in the game, and now I can't play the following week. When the season was on the line, Broshmo, the season was on the line. So that tells he's unreliable at this point to me, but they're going to keep on down the road with this project, I guess I'll call it.
Yeah, I remember when we actually paid him. It was like it was last off season, and I felt like he basically had a gun to our head. Yeah. It was like, well, we either draft a new quarterback, or just shelve out the money. And well, ultimately we ended up doing that. And last year, just like you said, things just never got right. The offensive line was banged up. I think the run game ended up being just terrible for us. We were 31st in EPA per play. I will say, like, defensively, I really like Anthony Weaver, and I think his defense started coming together. I don't know how that'll look this year. We'll kind of get into it when it comes to the offseason, because that secondary scares the hell out of me. But shoot, man, I guess let's get into the offseason. Let's talk about what they did, what they lost, because they actually lost quite a bit. And this is kind of a problem that I have with the Dolphins. When we hit on players in the draft, we don't necessarily bring them back. We saw it with Robert Hunt. Christian Wilkins eventually went and got a big contract. And the most recent example is Javon Holland, now going to the New York Giants. And man, like, I don't know how do you feel? What do you think is probably our biggest loss this offseason?
Biggest loss this offseason is going to end up being Teron Armstead.
Yeah.
And it's a loss, but it was going to happen regardless. He couldn't play anymore. He was out there limping. But to have Patrick Paul, a year 2 guy, even though he got sprinkles last year, he was horrible in those sprinkles. But, second year, left tackle, premier pass rushers going up against him this year, that's going to be scary. Also, Calais Campbell. In that middle, you got Zach Zeeler, but you need that second guy. But that's what we did in the draft, which I know we'll talk about. We'll see how that pans out. But more so the leadership that he brought to the table. We minus that now. Javon Holland wasn't as big of a loss that people think. Javon Holland wasn't, in my opinion, as great as people thought. He was a good safety, but he wasn't as great as people, pegged him out to be. So I'm not really more so concerned about that. The bigger concern is the fact of who we lost, who we haven't lost yet, but we are going to lose, which is Jalen Ramsey. That secondary is being ripped apart and with no identity. So the Ramsey and the Teron Armstead, that's probably going to be our biggest losses.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to come down on our price when it comes to Ramsey? Because they want a team to, well, not only do we want good draft capital from them, but they also want them to take the bulk of the money.
You're probably not going to get neither. I mean, you're probably going to get a pick that you didn't want or a conditional type pick. And then you're going to have to shell out majority of the contract, and that's going to suck. But, hey, this is where we are now. We're going to have to eat that. And just to move forward, that relationship is broken. I don't see a world where Jalen Ramsey ends up on the roster and they just got to deal with it. I mean, it's just a bad situation. It's a bad situation, bro. But hey, this is the bed we made. Now we got to lay in it.
Yeah, we're gonna be laying. We can talk. We can talk about additions. Any of your favorite? I know personally, I wanted us to go out and get James Daniels. Mm-hmm. Kind of happy that he got there because I mean our offensive line's kind of always been a just weakness, and I know he's coming off the injury, but when healthy, he's been a dude that can at least be a consistent, just a guy that you could at least count on. And I think even at the beginning of the year, he was on like having essentially a career year before he got hurt. So I was happy that we went out and got him. But anybody,
you talking about Daniels?
Yeah, Daniels.
Yeah, for sure. That's on my big signing. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be a really good guard for us. I like Melifanu as well. They call him Iffy in the secondary. There's a lot of hope that he can, blossom into a great player. He was with the Lions, and I've been talking to my Lions guy, and they basically said, he's just a victim of a great room where it's no space. He can go start somewhere else. It's just the 2 starters they have. He's taking that over. Also, Westbrook-Ikhine, I like the addition of him. He may be able to flex into that 3 or 4 role. We shall see, depending on Malik Washington, how he progresses this year. I know everybody's going to say Zach Wilson. I'm not getting good signs from him early in camp. I'm not getting, good stuff that people are talking about early in camp. Outside of that, man, everybody else, okay. I'm not going to go shoot home and be like, oh, man, we got this person. Some people say Ashton Davis and things like that. I'm not sure about that. But, yeah, those 2 guys are the most important for me.
Yeah, Richie from Jets Media, we actually talked about Ashton Davis a little bit. And it's like, I mean, he's a guy that just hasn't been a starter, and now we're asking him to do that. So
exactly,
that's going to be iffy. And speaking of iffy, yeah, like if you go back to like 2023, this was before Brian Branch was primarily the slot. Like Ifatu was pretty darn solid, and then last year on top of injuries, and then Branch moved into more of a traditional safety role. He kind of just got lost in the shuffle. So I actually like that pickup quite a bit. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine as well. gives us some size, vertical ability. And I think Tyreek was playing quite a bit in the slot last year as well. And I mean, of course, you got Jonnu that could kick in the slot, but it just gives us more options. I could say Alexander Madison was not on my bingo card of guys we were going to pick up.
Exactly. See?
Like, what the hell? I don't mind the Larry Borum pickup, though. Like, depth is huge. That's just something we've never really had. And I mean, Kendall Lamb, I think, is going to be low key a pretty big loss, just because whenever we needed him, I think he came in and stepped up reasonably well. I know he was an older player, but to be a backup,
that's the depth for me. You know, that's how I feel about it. You know, he's the depth. We need solidified starters, at least guys we feel like are. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, we could probably go to the draft because I have some takes. When it comes to the draft. And we can start with Kenneth Grant. Actually, I don't mind that one nearly as much, but how you feeling about Kenneth Grant?
I love it. I think he's going to be one of the best in the league one day at the position. Hopefully we pay him when the time comes. But yeah, I think that we got a stud. We got a guy who and you got to also listen to, you know, what the coaches said, you know, how many of the teams called and said, hey, that was going to be our guy and different things like that. Same thing with Jonah. But Kenneth Grant, he's going to be your Christian Wilkins replacement, but I think he's going to start out better out the gate. We got a guy there, man. I think he might end up being the best defensive player in this draft. But we shall see. Time always tells. But I love the pick. I wasn't anybody on the board and I said, you should have did this. Listen, there were 3 players at the time, and I like Kenneth Grant. He was one of them. So we win there, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I was pretty hyped up for that. I think that there was like probably there was a good group of defensive interior, and Grant probably being one of the more athletic at his size, can really push the pocket. He could probably push Benito Jones if you're looking for a little bit more juice from kind of that zero tech position. But Jonah Savaiinaea, I think, was the one guy that I really wanted us to come out with in this draft. I don't know if it was going to be I don't know if I like it as much because of the cost. Because
I love it. I love it because I in my mock drafts, Jonah, I needed him every time.
I agree.
I needed him every time, but it was at 48.
Yeah.
And I could never get him. He was always gone. And I'm like, man, we need Jonah, man, if he could just fall to 48. So I'm not mad that they moved up, did what they needed to do to get to 37, because when you got your guy, when you have your guy, you know who you want, you go get him. You don't worry about the case. If that's the guy you say, we got to get this guy in Miami, and your next pick is 48, you go get him if you can, if you don't think he's going to be there. So it's going to cost. We just hope it doesn't cost us like Eichenberg, because we paid for him too to move up. And that, oh my gosh. That's hurting. But
that was dead on arrival. He started left tackle his first game and just got mollywopped. I think it was to the Patriots too.
Yeah. So, but Jonah's a different beast. He has the versatility. Yeah. He also, I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be one. I think he's the guy that would be above Robert Hunt.
Yeah.
He'll be barely above what Robert Hunt brings to the table, but you learn that's consistency, that's solid play, and not a liability. And I think that's what Jonah brings to the table. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, he does have that experience on both sides, at tackle and at guard. So if things get hairy or if injuries come up, you can move him around. So, I agree. He was the one guy I really wanted to get in the draft. Kind of hurts with the 3rd and 4th. I feel like every year we throw draft capital away. It's just a Chris Greer thing, and it's like it shows up in terms of our depth. We have stars. We don't have a great team.
He sets it up that way. He sets it up that way because he doesn't want to pay that mid-round money either, because we're always so broke. Those 3rd, 4th, round picks, they get paid a little bit too, you know. And we always trade a lot of those picks to move up, and I'm not mad about it. But Chris Greer, I mean, the front office hasn't managed that stuff well. Like, we need some of those mid-round talents because you have a better probability than a whole bunch of 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But obviously, they felt that the defensive interior was kind of a huge issue with their next pick was 143, Jordan Phillips, who I think early on, good early down player that maybe could develop into a good pass rusher. Because he's got that shot out of a cannon feel. It's never shown up on the field in terms of production, but he's been a solid enough run stopper during his time in Maryland. How you feeling?
Listen, let's see if he even makes the team, first of all. Okay.
We have no one there. He has to.
Well, listen, we'll see. Here's what I do know. I know Shedeur Sanders was on the board right there.
Oh, here we go.
I do. And that's a problem for me because, listen, oh my gosh, it's crazy to me. Like, even if you don't believe in a guy like Shedeur Sanders, even if you're like, he's not going to be great in the NFL, you knew he still wasn't a 5th round pick.
Yep.
I don't care if you say, I don't think he's special. You at least probably got him as a 3rd round pick. Like, in given our QB situation, and you look at his intangibles and Tua's intangibles, both of them are deadly accurate. Both of them. Shedeur Sanders, way more durable. And you got to bring in real competition. And what I mean by that is nobody said you had to bring him in to take Tua's job this year. You bring him in and develop him as a backup, and you continue to monitor Tua and whether or not he can stay healthy and play good in big games. And that way you have a succession plan to maybe play with. And it may not have worked out, but just like Jordan Phillips may not work out, or Quinn Ewers or anything else. It's mind-blowing to me right there at that pick where Shedeur Sanders is available. That's where you would have gotten the best value for the team based off of our current situation. And I know Miami didn't want to do it because they didn't want the circus. It would have been the biggest debate ever. Oh, Shedeur is going to steal. It would have been all of that, but that's our problem. We get in our feelings too much, worried about the media and the fans instead of doing what's best for the team. And I feel like Jordan Phillips is going to forever live in the shadow of Shedeur, because if Shedeur does well in this league and Jordan Phillips phases out, we're going to remember this as Dolphin fans.
Yeah,
remember this.
I don't disagree with that one bit, because I had a top 50 grade. I think I had him in my top 20 as well, just because, like, even if he doesn't have like the high end tools, like, there's a quarterback there that you said deadly accurate, made plays last year for that Colorado team. If you wanted a guy that could just work within the system, and Mike McDaniels,
this is the guy, and withstand injuries, like guys beating him up, the most beat up quarterback in college football, getting up every time. Like, it's Miami. So Jordan Phillips, man, he already comes in with a disadvantage of people thinking about that. Also, man, are you going to make this team? You know, obviously you have, Kenneth Grant and Zeeler, and you're the next guy there. But at the same token, are you going to be able to leapfrog guys like Benito Jones and all the other guys that we have in building? I think he can if he got a ball out, honestly. He got a ball out. Those other guys have been in the system for a few years now. They understand what they need to do. They understand the Miami way or the culture per se. But I'm going to be honest with you. I have high hopes for Jordan Phillips. We actually need him. Not want him, but need him to blossom.
Yeah, and then with our next 2 picks there, we finally addressed the secondary with Dante Trader and Jason Marshall. Any feels when it comes to those 2?
Nope. Listen, we didn't address it. We just invested in it. I talked about this yesterday. Addressing something for me is going to get somebody who that's their job now. Like if you don't have a corner and you go get Ramsey, you just addressed it. You get, Jason Marshall and Dante Trader, you invested in it. And you're going to see, we don't know if you're going to get a return on your investment. So, yeah, we made an investment, but there is no addressing yet. This is a hopeful situation. And these are the background picks, man. You hope.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
Yeah. I will say I don't mind the Trader pick. He's like a former lacrosse player. Like he was a top-notch lacrosse player who I thought year after year got a little bit better. But I mean, 5th round pick, it's asking much for him to actually be an early contributor. But I have faith that he could find a role in this, even if it's not the defense, special teams. Jason Marshall, that's just taking a shot in the dark. A guy was so up and down at Florida. I'm just like, I guess who else is starting at corner at this point? Storm Duck? Oh gosh.
Exactly.
Great name.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Look at us. We're just in a bad place right now.
We are. A few more notable guys we did draft. Ollie Gordon Jr. I thought was pretty solid. Yeah, that's good value. He's something radically different than what you have in the backfield. Sorry, yeah. Alexander Madison. No.
Yeah, that's the value pick right there, Broshmo. That's the good pick there. In the 6th round, you get a guy who has the potential to break out in this league, bigger guy, and maybe you address the fact that we can't run the ball on 3rd and 1 or 4th.
Yeah,
we can't. So I love that pick right there. Ollie Gordon could have Ollie Gordon could have a really good future in this league. McDaniel, that's his specialty. People forget run game coordinator is what he was. I'm actually optimistic about that because you're gonna look up in 2 years and the A-Chain's gonna be asking for big running back money, and we're gonna say thanks for your services, A-Chain. Bye-bye. That's what's going to happen. We're going to trade him or something. But as long as you keep that rotation and Ollie Gordon blossoms, then you'll still have 2 good backs.
Yeah. And I mean, A-Chain's also like a smaller guy. I know he's physical as hell, but you do worry about him just being durable. And Gordon helps with that. Hopefully Jalen Wright will help a little bit more with that this year. Quinn Ewers ends up being the quarterback we get. 7th round. It's probably a ride I don't want to go on.
Well, I'm not going to write him off, though.
Yeah.
I always say when quarterbacks get to this level, you never know. But we'll see. Haven't heard much of them coming out of OTAs and mandatory. But, when I go to training camp, I'm going to keep my eye on Quinn Ewers. Do we have something for the future? And even if it's a solidified backup, are you good enough, but not good enough to be a starter, but good enough to man down that backup position for years and years and years to come? That's what this is about. And who knows, maybe, if an injury happens, he gets an opportunity to start and he Brady's this thing. Not likely, but if it does, you always have that investment.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, backup quarterback is probably a much bigger role for us than other teams, so it makes sense. Zeke Biggers ends up being our final pick, just more depth along the interior. Kind of a freaky guy at like 6'5", 320. Performed well at the combine. Had no real production at Georgia Tech, but tools, I don't mind taking a shot on tools. Hit the practice squad.
Zeke Biggers, though, wasn't that considered a free agent signing?
He ends up going at like 253. I think I me personally had him in that like 7th round range, priority free agent range.
There was something that made it a free agent signing or something.
Really?
Though. Yeah, I think I forgot what the story behind it was, but they listed him as a free agent signing. Maybe I'm tripping, but yeah, I don't think they designated him an actual draftee.
Interesting. I have to look into that. Well, yeah, regardless, he's on the squad.
Yeah, exactly. Zeke Biggers, NFL. Mm, tackle. I don't know. Well, it doesn't matter. Well, he's on there. I actually like him as well. Again, guys in that later round, you never give any real love to until they prove themselves. But I like that they brought so much investment in the defensive tackle room, knowing that you had a solidified guy. Let me say this too. We might look up and Zach Zeeler's gone.
Yeah.
This offseason I'm talking about. He wants his money. He's being a good player, the good guy, though, showing up and everything, but he wants his money. And Miami isn't trying to give anybody money right now. So this is going to be an interesting development, too. Are they going to pay Zeeler? Everybody said, oh, yeah, they are. It's a given. Okay. All right.
I mean, that's what good teams do, though. They look to the future. They don't use the draft like free agency. They use it like free agency in a year or two.
Yeah. Well, good teams do it that way when they found their good replacement because they've already drafted them. But the Dolphins, we fail in that area.
Yeah, we do. Any UDFAs may have caught your eye or attention?
Not a one of them. Not a one of them. Yeah, like I was speaking to Omar Kelly about this. He works with the Miami Herald. He covers the team. Those are the guys when you make a play in training camp and you have to make us learn your name. Because have you ever seen the undrafted player? How many undrafted players end up making the 53?
There's always a name every now and then, and they don't contribute much at all.
2 to 3 years, and they don't even contribute. They're gone after 2 years, but I don't put my energy into learning 20 people's names that have a 0.0001 probability. Now make me learn your name. That's how I look at it. So I don't really waste time getting into the UDFAs. They have to earn their namesake.
I will say I have a little hope for Jalen Conyers, the tight end at Texas Tech, because he played a little Wildcat quarterback. So worst case scenario, we can get him at quarterback.
Creativity. McDaniel loves that, but I'll say this, just you saying the tight end position, Jonnu may be gone.
Yeah.
That could contract situation. So this team, you're depressing me, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people this all the time. Like, Dolphins can't hurt me. I'm already dead inside. If we make
this is true.
Yeah, if we make the playoffs, pleasant surprise. I know we're going to be out by the wild card. We've been doing it since Chad Pennington. So
yeah, you hit it right on the head. It's been too long, bro. Too long. Over 25 years. This is sad now.
Yeah. I mean, we've been looking for a franchise quarterback since Marino. I mean, that was back when I was like 7 years old when he retired. So I've been living in like Jay Fiedler, Cleo Lemon, Gus Farrat,
White.
Yeah, White. Yeah. It's been rough. I imagine this is what Bears fans feel like. Just can't get it right.
But we're the longest now, aren't we?
Oh, yeah, because technically Jay Cutler was pretty good for the Bears.
Yeah, we're the longest, and the Lions just got out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the longest streak. So just no playoff wins or something like that. So
yeah, Lions had Matthew Stafford. They don't have excuses.
This is true. But they still just got out of it with golf. So at least they pulled themselves out of the no playoff win.
So let's go ahead and take a look at the roster. Start with the offense, strengths, weaknesses, concerns, camp battles.
Strength on the offense will always be the wide receiver core, Tyreek and Waddle, and I think we might have even gotten better because I do love the additions we made. Plus, I think Lee Washington is about to go off this year. I think this, and when I say go off, not like he's going to be Tyreek or Waddle, but that number 3 that gets about 500 to 600 yards, and man, he's actually contributing. He's making some key plays here and there. That's what I believe. The run game, I'm not as far as everybody else on the run game. We need the run game. And we have some good backs, but remember, A-Chain and these guys, they're not big backs. And they're not the type of backs that if the O-line isn't playing well, they can overcompensate and make crazy things happen. Like everything has to tie in and be perfect with each other. The O-line has to be perfect. The running backs have to be perfect for the run game to get off. Not all backs need that. I mean, their numbers will go down if it's not, but they're still effective. So we need the perfect storm in that area. And how can I say that's going to be a strength when we have a questionable O-line? Yeah, we invested in it, but we didn't address it. We don't know what Patrick Paul's going to do at the left tackle. We don't know how the rookie Jonah is going to be. I believe in him. And can James stay healthy on the right side? Austin Jackson, up and down. He's good at best. And the center, I love Brewer, though. So we should have a good unit this year overall if, the new additions can plug in and play well. But I'm really worried about the left tackle. So as far as strengths, all I have for you is the wide receiver core and Jonnu. That's it. Everything else is too reliant. Tua's reliant on the O-line and the receivers. The running backs relying on the O-line. The O-line reliant on religion. Like, man, it's crazy. But, yeah, everything's reliant except maybe like the tight end and the wide receivers. And the wide receivers, they even need, the quarterback to do what he needs to do. I'm one of these big advocates that say, hey, when we have these deep balls, we got to stop throwing them 5 yards short. Even though they're complete because the receiver comes back to get it, we're missing out on touchdowns, people. We're settling for field goals when they should be touchdowns. We cannot be the team that throws 50-yard comeback routes. It's crazy. So, there ain't much positive on the offense. It's a bunch of hope.
Yeah, I think Waddle hasn't scored a touchdown if it wasn't thrown by Tua. So it's like, I'm hoping Malik does like you said, not necessarily see it in production, but see a bigger role. I really like that addition of Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. I think he went on a stretch 7 games last year where he had 6 touchdowns. And even if it's just like 1 or 2, like those deep shots, he's made it work. So
yeah, I forgot. Nice addition there.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, and then run game. And you brought up a good point. Just with like the run game wasn't really reliable. Like we got some guys, but I was looking last year. We were 31st in forced missed tackles per carry. When it came to yards before contact, 22nd. So for offense, that's kind of like it's built around the run game and motion and all that. Like we need to have some sort of efficiency there, and it's just
we need the perfect lanes from the beginning. And that's, man, you can have it, but that's so unrealistic on a consistent basis.
Yeah. Austin Jackson. So last year, I think he started the year hurt, came in and was bad. And eventually it kind of averaged out down the stretch. But
yeah.
Man, he wasn't a guy necessarily. I was kind of worried when we re-signed him. I was like, well, great. We re-signed a guy that was in a contract year that performed. If he could just be average, I think that's a big win for us.
He is average. He's actually a little above average when everything's going well. And we actually got him on a good deal. We got him on that. Hey, you've been hurt. You haven't been great. We can give you this kind of money. Hey, let's keep this going. All right, you're right. Let's do it. I mean, his deal doesn't hurt nor help the team, and that's on both sides. So that's a good deal. The problem is, again, with your goals, what you're trying to accomplish, you don't have a stud out there. You just have a guy who, he's doing his job. It's not the greatest, but he's like the version of the best backup you can ask for. The best backup you can ask for, and a below average starter. or average. But this is the tackle position. You want good at a minimum. You want good to great. So, but beggars can't be choosers. I'll take Austin Jackson.
Yeah.
Based off of what we've had, I'm good. We're good. Austin Jackson, put it in marker.
Yeah. I think you pointed out the contract was good. I think it's like, 3 years around that 30, 33 million range.
Yeah, it's like a 13 per or 12 per, something like that. But,
yeah.
Guarantees are about to run out, so you're going to have to reevaluate what you want to do there. That's another thing. His guarantees will be running out. So are you going to extend him? Are you going to, like all of this, it matters. Like, and don't let him have a great year. Then you're really in trouble because you got to pay him.
Man, that's the Dolphins, man. Always in trouble figuring out if they need to pay or let guys walk. But yeah, Patrick Paul needs to emerge, man.
He needs to, but nobody knows.
Yeah,
nobody knows.
I mean, the offense can't possibly be, again, barring injury, be as bad as it was last year. Like, at least early on, just like coming out of the gates. And granted, we were missing Tua for that stretch. But
bro, it could be worse.
I don't want to hear that.
I get it. It could be, though. Remember, Teron Armstead isn't here anymore. If Patrick Paul turns out to just be what he was last year, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
People like let's call it what it is. Like we're gonna put our optimistic hat on and be like, Patrick Paul, second year, he's gonna step up. We just subtly throw that he's going to out there like it's a guarantee. When honestly the probability is actually less. It's actually higher the other way. But yeah, if he doesn't play well, and then you got a rookie next to him and Jonah, who's going to be fighting to make sure he understands on this level what it takes, that could be a disaster.
I mean, shoot, Giants, Evan Neal. it could be a real thing.
Hey, but they're not spending any money.
Yeah, true. That's true. Defense. They felt like the defense was coming together last year. That Anthony Weaver finally his vision was starting to actually take form. I think I'm a big fan of these Mike McDonald underlings, I guess you would call them. Yeah, right. But I believe in the defense. Well, I believe in I believe in Anthony Weaver. I don't know how much I believe in the defense, and a lot of that has to do with the secondary, or at least lack thereof. I think that's probably an easy weak spot on the roster. How are you feeling? Who do you think starts at corner if we lose Ramsey?
Who's going to start at corner when we lose Ramsey? Not if. When. That's a given at this point. Their relationship's done. Who's going to start at corner?
Will we finally see Cam Smith?
Yeah, you're going to see them, all right. You're going to see all of them. Listen, we're in trouble. We're actually in trouble. This is where the problem lies. We are in trouble. That secondary is probably going to get it murdered this year. And Anthony Weaver, I hate this for him because he is a good coach, but you strip all the talent. Can you get these no-name guys playing like Brian Flores had the no-name guys playing? Can you do that? I don't know. We've seen Anthony Weaver with some assets, but now without him, you'll have a pass rush.
Yeah.
And a solid linebacking core, but that back end, teams are going to pick on us. They're going to do max protect. Teams are going to 22 personnel it. They're going to have 7 guys blocking on the line of scrimmage, and they're going to run 3-man routes. They're going to send 2 guys deep, somebody seaming across the middle, and listen, it's going to be their teams are going to take shots on us. On the right side, they're going to run someone deep. If they get one-on-one, they flipping it up because they know whoever that guy is probably ain't even going to turn his head around at a minimum flag. And so you're going to have to keep the safeties deep to help. And that's going to be on both sides. I'm telling you, teams are going to run two guys streaking. And if those corners back up like that, whoever the dangerous player they have in the slot is going to be working the middle of the field on whoever's guarding. That's what's going to happen. Play action, 22, like literally 7 guys blocking, 3-man routes, go route, some type of action in the middle, expose it. And don't let it be where your linebackers are playing 2 back, then they're going to run the ball down your throat because they know you're going to be looking for help on this in the secondary. But if it's an obvious run situation, man, they're going to catch us sometimes on the deep ball.
Yeah.
They're going to take shots. And guess what? These corners can end up being all pros or bums this year. The other teams are going to give them an opportunity to be an all pro. And do you think that they can be?
I don't.
Exactly. Neither do the other team. It's not going to be pretty, man. It's not going to be pretty.
I mean, at least we got an all-time name in Storm Duck, right? Former, I think he was like Bluefill.
Yeah. Hey, listen, man, he just had to figure out a way to not become roasted duck. So this year, teams are going to put their weapons out there to attack. And look at our schedule. We're going to be attacked.
Yeah.
We got offenses, man, that's built for this.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, because I am curious about Jalen Phillips, where's he at currently? Because you could definitely look at our front seven and have a little bit, at least more confidence than you do with the secondary. Is Phillips good to go yet, or is he still?
No, he's still working himself back. Hopefully he'll be ready at the beginning of the season. Again, there's no rush. Injured players, They're not even trying to rush it right now. They're trying to just be able to get a tag that says you're 100% healthy and then work you in versus, hey, you're 90%, let's start working you in. No. So they're not even worried about him. Bradley Chubb will be ready.
Yeah.
But Phillips, he should be ready, but just in case, they'll make decisions as the season starts and training camp starts.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we have Chop, and I'm encouraged that maybe if we get to see more of Muhammad Kamara, which I thought,
well, that's going to be harder now with these other guys coming back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, early on, maybe he gets into the mix with if Phillips
Chubb's
doesn't
back.
start the year.
Chubb's back though.
Yeah, Chubb is back.
Chubb's back,
and we're paying him a lot of money.
No. We cut his money.
Oh,
back.
did we restructured that? Okay, that's right. That's right. I remember because I did a cap casualty video, and I was like, "There's a real world that we either restructure or we just cut ties with Chubb."
He ain't gonna be here next year.
Nah, I don't see that either. Our linebacker core is actually, I think, relatively solid. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's like Brooks has been all like I was a little wishy-washy on Brooks coming from Seattle. I was like, okay, he's just a thumper, but his game is definitely has gone in the right direction. Yeah.
Brooks the type of guy I would extend and keep him here for a little longer, but they're not giving out any money. I need to look at Brooks' contract though. Could he be a disgruntled customer in camp?
I think he was another guy that was like a 3-year around $30 million.
But this is year 2, right?
Yeah, this should be year 2.
Yeah, I gotta look at that because he's one of the better players. Yeah, he did a 3-year 26.
Oh, 26, so even better.
About 8.4 a year almost, I believe. Right now, let me see how much was guaranteed. 9 million guaranteed, 16 million no guarantees. So after this year, yeah, he got guarantees this year, but after this year, guarantees kind of washed up. And then he'll be dead cap of about $5 million next year or you extend them. And they already got voidable years. So they already been manipulating the contract to keep them. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, they brought in Willie Gay and KJ Britt. Britt, kind of a thumper. Gay, really good athlete. They have Dotson there. I think Dotson was, for the most part, was a little up, a little down during his time last year, because we got him right before the trade deadline as like a release from I believe it was Seattle. I think it was Seattle. So another Seattle linebacker.
Yeah, I like these guys. I think that these are good additions for Miami. Definitely an upgrade. It gives us a little bit more stability. That's why I like our pass rush with our linebackers. We got something there. But the back end is going to make life. See, we're going to be relying on getting at the quarterback and stopping the run. And hopefully getting at the quarterback quick enough to not feel like our secondary is weak. So that's why I think the better teams that have good coaches are going to recognize, hey, let's max protect and get surgical on the outside.
Yeah. I think with this squad, because last year, because of the injury, we were a little bit on the struggle bus when it came to getting pressure and then actually finishing sacks. Should, in theory, be better this year, because at least Weaver, again, coming from McDonald's scheme, it's not a team that blitzes a ton until it gets to third down. So we need to get to those third down options. I think that's gonna be the scary thing. And in a league that's still, for the most part, a very pass heavy league, unless you have one of these bell cow running backs you could run on first and second downs. Like, for the most part, the teams are still using the passing game as like as the run game.
Extension of the run, the quick throws outside and getting 4 or 5 yards. That's better than a successful run.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that's what teams are going. They're going to look at our secondary and be like, yeah, let's just do that. And then it'll open up the run game later in the game when we're trailing. So I guess we could just get to the schedule, because, man, we do have some tough matchups, but at the very least, I think those matchups are at least at home for us. Like the Bengals, I believe we have Baltimore, but we get them in Miami. So it's forgiven, at least in that way, that our tough matchups are going to be at home for us. I think probably our toughest road games are like Atlanta, Pittsburgh. You could say Buffalo. Buffalo is always they're going to be tough regardless. So if I could ask for a floor, if things go wrong, if things are dire, Patrick Paul, he's bad. The secondary, it's terrible. Where do you think that win total is?
8.
You got 8?
Yeah.
Oh man, I put us at 6. That might just be me being pessimistic, but
yeah. Let me reevaluate it real quick. Let me make sure. I'm looking at the schedule now. I want to count our floor losses. So I'm gonna go 1 loss, 2 losses.
Yeah, for the most part, when I do these floor and ceiling, I don't try to take injury into account. But with Tua, it's kind of like a different story. You kind of have to some degree. Unfortunately. 9,
10, 11 losses is possible.
Yeah.
So we play 17.
So that's 6.
Ooh.
I mean, if that happens, everyone's fired. Do you think Greer gets fired if we have only 6 wins?
Absolutely. Daniel too.
Well, yeah,
they're being tested this year.
I have no doubt about the coaching staff getting axed. It's just it feels like Greer is just untouchable.
Here's what a lot of people don't realize. When we signed all these big name players and traded for them, we have the same record with all of that talent that Brian Flores had with no talent. Remember? So if we made the playoffs with this team because the AFC was worse, but the same record. It was the same record with and without talent. So I believe this year McDaniel and Greer will be tested. You don't have as much talent, but you still have a better team than what that Flores team had. So let's see you make the playoffs. Let's see you get 10 plus wins. And if you can do that, we can move forward with you. If you can't do that, we're moving on without you. I think that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah. Did Flores, he had an 11-win season where we didn't make the
10.
playoffs, right? Or was it 10? Okay.
10 wins, yeah. Yep. And didn't make the playoffs. And McDaniel, 10 wins, playoffs. And they think, oh, well, but McDaniel made the playoffs. That's just that just depends on how good or bad the conference is.
Yeah.
That's how good or bad the conference is. So, yeah, I got potential 6 losses. I got a away at Buffalo potential. I have a Chargers at Atlanta, Baltimore, Buffalo again, Washington, at Jets, at Pittsburgh, Bengals, Bucks, and at the Patriots to end the season. That's 11 potential losses. Why do I put the Patriots? Because first off, it's on the road. It's going to be cold outside. And this should be the peak of that team with Vrabel. That team should have an identity. He's already worked through a full of one season, and this is the last game of it. So they should be primed, in the Vrabel way. So that's 11 potential losses for Miami. And those are real reasonable potential losses.
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't stretch anything out. Maybe the Atlanta one, but they got a good defense. They got a good team.
And that's Atlanta at home.
Exactly. So, yeah, this isn't and guess the teams that I gave us the benefit of the doubt. On the road versus the Colts, I gave us the benefit of the doubt. At home versus the Patriots, benefit of the doubt. At home versus the Jets, benefit of the doubt. Away versus Carolina, I gave us the benefit of the doubt, but they could sneak up and bite you. And at the Browns, I gave us the benefit of the doubt. Outside of that, in the Saints, at home versus the Saints, I gave us the benefit of the doubt. Those are the 6 games that we should win. In 2 of them, you never know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we can now switch gears, try to be optimistic, right? See what the potential ceiling is for this squad.
Man. All right, let me go through it. If I'm going to be optimistic for Miami, we beat the Colts. We beat the Patriots week 2. We beat the Jets week 4. We beat Carolina week 5. Do we beat the Chargers at home? I'm going to be optimistic.
I was going to say, somehow I feel like we split either between whether it's losing to the Chargers or the Panthers. I don't want to sleep on the Panthers, man. It was a big Bryce Young guy, so.
Yeah, well, I'm just being optimistic for the team.
Yeah,
that's fair. We beat the Browns. We beat Atlanta. We beat the Saints. And we beat the Patriots at the end of the season on the road in the cold weather. That's optimism. That's 9 wins.
Whew.
Optimistic, giving us that's optimistic. Because listen, this team, I don't feel like we match up with the Bucks. I just don't. I don't think that we can even keep up in scoring with the Bengals. On the road versus Pittsburgh, December 15th, cold as all can be versus Aaron Rodgers. I'm not signing up for that.
I'm kind of hoping. I'm hoping Aaron just like that team's imploded. That this might be the year that Mike Tomlin finally. Hope. Yeah,
we're at home versus Washington, but who am I kidding? I mean, they went to the NFC Championship game and they loaded up. They added 2 All-Pro linemen. They added Debo, and Laramie Thompson, by the way, is one of the linemen they added. Like, they are ready.
Takes me back.
They are ready. In Buffalo, until we beat them, I'll never say we will. Baltimore, nope. Yeah, Buffalo again. See, I just gave you Like, I don't see us in no way, form, or fashion winning those games.
Yeah.
And that's 8 of them. That's 8 games where I don't see Miami winning. I don't. You can run the ball well and all. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention like that Washington game's right before our bye too. So like we're gonna be bandaged up going into that week.
That whole stretch though is all physicality. Like, people don't realize you have. Listen, what we have to go through, Broshmo. Look at what we have to go through. Okay, watch this. Starting week 6, you're just going through a 6-game gauntlet. You literally have to play the Chargers, Harbaugh-led Chargers. Luckily, you're at home. Then you're going to travel to Cleveland. Even though that's a game you win, you're traveling. Then you travel to Atlanta the very next week. So we got some short weeks. Then you have Baltimore at home, Buffalo at home. Like, you got some home games that you're probably going to get waxed. And then Washington at home. They give you 3 of the toughest games all at home, and that can kill a team's morale. You're at home and you take 3 L's there, that can kill your morale. And then you come off of it versus the Saints to try to get your footing back. Listen, and here's the deal. Those games are going to be physical. Baltimore, Buffalo, Washington. Man, it's really who's going to come out surviving, who's going to be hurt, who's not.
Yeah, and I mean, you could go even that Cleveland game. That's not a team without talent. That's a team without a quarterback.
This is true. And don't get caught up in the situation where you do have a swap right there with Shador getting an opportunity in week 7, and you didn't game plan for it. And the league is already setting it up to be the great comeback. You know, man, I don't know.
I mean, we get a good look at what our 5th round pick could have been.
Man, Jordan Phillips better be on that field sacking him. I know that, but
I mean, and dude, that's gonna be a coming to God moment for Patrick Paul going against Myles Garrett.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
Oh man,
yeah, they're gonna sit a tight end over there all day to help.
Oh, absolutely,
they're have to doubling the whole
probably even with like pass protect, like pass pro with the running back, just to be sure. It's gonna be a rush.
It's gonna be a quick game. Get the ball out quick.
Yeah. So I tried to be a little bit more optimistic. I had us at 11. I feel like maybe if Tua stays healthy, that offense maybe goes back to what it was a couple of years ago. I know Tyreek's getting older, but he's still playing really good football.
What 11 optimistic games you got?
So I gave us the Colts, the Patriots. I have us splitting with the Buffalo. I have us taking 2 over the Patriots. So there's that. I have us splitting with the Jets. I gave us Carolina.
Wow. So you got to split in the whole division.
Aside from I gave us both wins with the Patriots because I mean we did it last year.
I get you 11 now.
Yeah.
You split the Bills too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think home game with the Chargers is possible. It's possible. Like I think our losses, I had us Baltimore, Cincinnati. Those were gimmies. So Baltimore, Cincinnati, Bills, Jets. Let's see. Washington, and then the last one was.
Oh, you have us beating Washington?
No, I lost. These are the losses. Okay. I'm counting.
Okay.
Yeah, now going into that bye, I don't know about that one. I mean, Washington could regress. I think they did a bit of overachieving last year, but it's also a team that added a ton of talent.
Added a ton.
Yeah, so yeah, they're gonna be good. And then Pittsburgh was the other loss. So maybe we could get it done with it being a home game with the Bucks. But like you said, we match up terribly with that squad. So like, yeah,
this could be a good season or a bad season.
It's a make or break, regardless for McDaniels, man. It sucks because like I like our coaching staff. I like where we're at there. It's just I think our GM's terrible, and
we're the type of team that'll come out on the road week 1 and take an L to the Colts. We're all just like, oh no, tank.
Dude, you know what would be worse if it was Daniel Jones led Colts team too, because we feel such
got a good defense.
We feel like the Giants, right?
Yeah.
Like their coaching staff's I think relatively solid. GM, you could be in or out on. I think they probably have. I think was it Shane or Joe Shane? I think he's a relatively solid GM, but their offensive line questionable. I would say we probably have the better quarterback situation, but again, if healthy. And it's not like Tua's a top 10 quarterback.
No.
It's not like he's top 12. I think his like ceiling is like maybe he could flirt with that top 12 like a Kirk Cousins has.
Yeah, he can have top 10 moments, flirt with top 14-ish, but he's 18 like to me. He's
a top half of the league starter. That's where I would put him. That puts him in like the 16. I feel like that's fair.
I got a good one for you. How about this?
Oh, shucks.
How about this? I guess let's quiz you, right? Let's do this.
Oh, no.
Would you put Tua ahead of Josh Allen?
No way.
Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and Jaden Daniels?
Never.
Jalen Hurts, Stafford, Dak, or Justin Herbert?
No.
Baker Mayfield?
At this point, no. We're at 10.
Jared Goff?
Man. I think we're starting to get into that range where it's questionable. I think I'd still stick with Goff just because he's healthy. Yeah. But last year we saw Goff struggle, like man coverage. Things got a little hairy. So we're at 11 now.
All right. CJ Stroud?
I know Stroud's coming off a bit of a slump, but I would put Stroud ahead of Tua.
All right. Jordan Love?
Yeah, I think he's got better peaks than Tua.
All right. Bo Nix?
Crap.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it to Bo Nix.
All right. Brock Purdy?
Oh, I'll give that to Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy's a good quarterback.
All right. So
we're
just so you know.
We're at 15. I
just gave you 15.
I'm counting.
All right. Kyler Murray?
See, and I think Kyler Murray, I think this is about where we're at in terms of range.
It's about, but you got to answer the question.
Kyler Murray gives you a little bit more because of what he can do on the ground.
Mobility. All right. So now that's 16. So best Tua can be is 17. All right. I got him 18. The last one here, Aaron Rodgers.
No, No, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is at a point where he can win games. They had a lot of drives last year where it ended in field goals. They got in scoring position. I thought the next name you were going to give me was Trevor Lawrence, to which I was like, oh crap.
He's further down on my list, but
I think under Liam Cohen he's going to have a big year.
Okay, well then let's go that way. Trevor Lawrence.
I think at this point, because they both struggle with health too, I think I would probably put Lawrence ahead of Tua, so 18.
All right, so that's 17 ahead of Tua, putting him at 18 so far. What about Geno Smith?
Oh, crap. Yeah, I'd put Geno. I think Geno's so underrated.
Now that's 18. What about where is he? Sam Darnold.
No, I wouldn't do that. I would put Sam Darnold behind Tua.
Yeah, so I think we could stop it around that area because now you got Caleb Williams, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Cam Ward, Drake May, Bryce Young, all those guys. So
a top 20.
Have them 20th. When you really think about it. See, but as Dolphin fans, they throw the numbers out a lot. Oh, Tua is at least top 12. Are you kidding?
Yeah,
I got him 18. Or you're just hating. All right, let's go down the list. Now, some of them are gonna be a homer and put guys like Purdy behind them, Kyler Murray behind them, Bo Nix, Stroud, Jordan Love. They want to put those guys behind them, but that hasn't been what it is. Tua is a top 20 quarterback. I have him at 18. I got him better than what you have him. So, and I'm a firm believer. If you don't have a top 12 quarterback, forget it, because you need perfection to get the job done. And that is unrealistic. It's unrealistic. So, and people feel like, I'm racking on Tua or anything like that. Well, guess what? All we're doing is signing ourselves up for some good seasons that end in misery. That's all you're doing. Like, people don't even care about achieving the ultimate goal in Miami anymore, which is the Super Bowl. They're just like, man, let's start with a playoff win. And that's the problem. If that's the height of what you want to achieve, then that's going to be the hard thing to accomplish. And then when you finally get there, that's your Super Bowl. So that's another reason why I feel like we're okay with this culture and the fans don't hold the organization accountable, because we don't demand Super Bowls. We've been lulled into a point to where we just demand playoffs. Regardless of what happens, we just want to have a winning season and make it to the playoffs. Lose in the first round, it doesn't matter. And that's where I draw the line. I can't deal with it. Yeah. I want Super Bowls, man. And I don't mean to get on our quarterback and say that he's not enough, but I don't believe he's enough.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, like, if you do want to compete, listen, the guys winning Super Bowls, they're at the very least top 10 quarterbacks.
Exactly.
The guys that are getting there, they're top 10 quarterbacks.
And those who aren't has a historic defense and run game for whatever reason in this career.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could even point to a recent example of that. Maybe Kaepernick with the Niners, Flacco with Baltimore, but even then, Flacco was still kind of not necessarily at his peak, but he was just exiting it.
The Niners didn't win it though?
They didn't win it. They lost that one to Baltimore. But I mean, those were two quarterbacks you could argue weren't top 10.
You even with perfectness around you, you can get there, but it still shows in that big game. Jimmy G went, and it showed in that big game. Those guys that are good enough not to be good enough, they can do their job, but they can't carry you.
Yeah, we need a guy that you can't flirt with. You could flirt with top 10 and probably get there. You can't flirt with top 12. Yeah. Or else you're the Minnesota Vikings and Kirk Cousins.
Thank you. And here we are talking about the 18th at best.
I will say, I think there's a tier there where Tua flirts with the top 16 guys like Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence. But I mean, if you were going to sit me down and be like, who I'd rather have.
Yeah, still out of the mix of the top 12 though. See, we people will argue in that 16 range, but it's still not top 12.
Yeah.
And I guess the baseline should be top 14 because that's playoff worthy. 14 teams. So, yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, a year ago, if we don't sign Tua, great quarterback class that, sure, you're going to miss out on Williams and May and Daniels, but there's a world where maybe you move up for Penix or move up for Nix. I mean, that's the one time I don't mind moving up.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, man. We signed up for this.
Yeah.
But hey, man, thanks for coming on. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You want to go ahead and let the fans know where they can find you?
Yeah, thanks for having me, bro. This was fun. You can find me on YouTube at TD Fans Talk, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. Come join us. We talk real talk. We don't just fan out because fanning out hasn't gotten us anywhere. We did that for several years. We talk the reality of, hey, this is the problem. This is what we need to do to get to where we need to be. All right. So thank y'all for tuning in. Love you all.
Yep. And as always, until next time, you be easy, our friends. Later.